So today's video is on 6 credit card mistakes to avoid as a beginner. The first mistake is closing a no annual fee credit card. So we can see from this image that 15% of your credit score comes from your length of credit history. If you close a credit card with no annual fee, it will erase the history associated with the credit card, which will end up decreasing your credit score. If a credit card has no annual fee, there's no benefits to closing the card because you're not paying anything to keep it open. So it's best to just keep the card open and use it a couple times a month to keep it active. Now let's say you have a card like this which has a $95 annual fee and you want to close it so you can stop paying the annual fee. So instead of closing the credit card, you can downgrade to the Freedom Flex or any card with no annual fee. Doing this lets you keep the credit history of the previous card while getting a new credit card that doesn't have an annual fee. Closing a credit card with no annual fee also lowers your overall credit limit, which will be a negative for your credit utilization. So if you have 2 credit cards and each of them have a $2,000 credit limit and you close one of the credit cards, half of your credit limit is gone. It's always best to have a higher credit limit. I would say it's always good to be in a position to never close a credit card. The only time you should close a credit card is if there's no option to downgrade an annual fee card and you absolutely cannot afford the annual fee. But if that's not the case, always aim to keep the credit card open just to preserve the credit history associated with it. If you want to be in a position to never close a credit card, always do the proper research before getting the credit card. So this brings us to our next beginner mistake, which is getting the wrong credit cards. Your first couple of credit cards should always be no annual fee cards like the one I'm showing. That's because they will contribute the most to your credit history over time, so you never want to close them. Having a credit card with no annual fee gives you no reason to close it, so it will be the most beneficial for your credit history. You also want to have a plan before getting a credit card. So if your goal is to get the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which has amazing travel benefits, start with the Chase Freedom Flex or the Freedom Unlimited, and then build your way up to the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Doing this will increase your chances of getting the Sapphire Reserve card, and will come at no cost because the Freedom Flex and Unlimited are no annual fee cards. Not having a plan can result in being denied for credit cards, which would not happen if you created the plan and did the research on the credit cards you want. If you do get an annual fee credit card, you want to make sure that it's a guarantee that you will get your money back. So when we look over the American Express Gold card, we could see that it has an annual fee of $250, but you get $120 of Uber Cash every year, and then you also get $120 of annual dining credit. So that's $240. Then when you add up the 4 times points at restaurants, you will be well over $250 back in a year. We can see that if you use Uber regularly, having this credit card will make you more than the annual fee in a year. So you can do this with any card that has an annual fee. The next beginner mistake is paying only the minimum amount. So when you pay off your credit card balance, it will ask you if you want to pay the minimum balance or the entire amount. It's always best to pay the full amount. If you pay the minimum amount, you will be charged interest on the remaining balance. And the interest on most credit cards is about 25%, so you will be paying significantly more. The reason credit card companies can give you many benefits and no annual fee is because they're using the interest they make on irresponsible customers. So if you're a responsible credit card user, you'll be benefiting from the credit cards instead of the credit card companies benefiting from you. Not paying off your balance in full will also make your credit utilization higher. Credit card companies want to see that you're utilizing 10% of your credit limit or less. But if you're in the 30% or higher range, it can be bad for your credit score. That's because if you're using less than 10% of your credit limit, you're a low-risk customer. But if someone uses 90%, they are more likely to be caught in debt down the line. Having a low utilization can be hard, especially if you want to have all of your payments on a credit card. But you can get multiple credit cards, each having their own credit limit, and use all the cards to pay for your purchases instead of just one. Doing this will lower your utilization since it will spread among multiple cards. Make sure to check out my video I tagged above on how to boost your credit limit if you want to know more. Our next beginner mistake is treating your credit card like cash. Treating your credit card like cash is when you're using your credit card without considering the consequences of it, and also treating it like an unlimited source of funds. But unlike cash transactions, using your credit card incurs interest charges if you carry a balance from month to month. So overspending without considering your ability to repay can lead to high interest fees piling up. Without the physical reminder of cash leaving our wallet, it's easy to lose track of your spending and you can end up with lots of debt. but doing this will impact your credit score and make it hard to qualify for loans. So to stop doing this, you want to establish a monthly budget and stick to it. Make sure to check your credit card balance often to see if you're getting carried away. And it's so easy to justify a purchase with the credit card by knowing you're going to get cash back or you won't have to pay it back for a while. But sticking to a budget will limit those thoughts. The next beginner mistake is not using your credit card. This problem usually comes when you get your second credit card and you completely ignore your first card. When a bank sees that you're not utilizing a credit card, they're not going to know if you're a responsible holder of the card. That will then lead to banks closing the credit card, which will erase the credit history associated with it. We also saw in the chart earlier that 15% of your credit score is determined by your credit history. So your credit score will take a toll if a card gets closed. So instead of that happening, you can take old cards that you don't use and use them as a $1 load to Amazon every month, since you probably spend more than that on Amazon. And then after that, set up an auto payment so the load to Amazon is paid. Doing this will prevent the card from closing, and so you can get to keep your credit history. So one thing that you should get out of this is that you never want to have a 0% utilization. So the last mistake is not using the benefits that come with the credit card. So when people first get a credit card, they usually look to see if the card has an annual fee and then they look at the rewards. But there's always benefits that most people don't see. For the Wells Fargo Active Cash Card, we see the no annual fee and 2% cash back. But when you go down, there are additional features. So these features include cell phone protection up to $600, and then an auto rental collision damage waiver, and then also roadside dispatch. So I actually cracked my phone to the point where it couldn't work and I bought a new phone. And a few weeks later, I realized I could have used my credit card since I had a cell phone protection feature. So you always want to look over these additional features to get the most out of your card. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Make sure to leave any questions or input in the comments and subscribe for more videos.